Hey, it's Megan. Grab your coffee and let's have a combo. Sleep. Everyone's talking about it. Nobody's getting it. You may be thinking, I thought we were hustling and sleeping when we were dead. That is so 2012. Now we're protecting our sleep like our life depends on it, and it kind of does. I spent my 20s not really caring about sleep, but certainly not getting very much. I remember being an anxious sleeper as a kid, scared of the dark, nightmares, so sleep was never something I looked forward to. It was actually a bit stressful. During college, I slept when I slept and sometimes was tired, but I never thought about sleep. Then, after I moved to New York, I got really depressed and wanted to sleep away entire weekends and was tired all the time. This is when I remember actually starting to think about sleep because it's hard to sleep at night if you lay in bed all day, sleeping, napping, just sort of like lazing around. It was harder to get sleep when I wanted to, and I found it to become more and more elusive. I would say my true insomnia era was my late 20s and my mid 30s. I remember telling my doctors at checkups that I was tired and didn't sleep well, but it never really progressed into more testing or even medications. I think when they asked if it affected my life, I was like, nah, not really. Well, now that I sleep between 7 and 8 hours on a regular, let me tell you how it did affect my life. For years, I thought I was clumsy. I tripped and fell a lot up the subway stairs, over imaginary bumps in the sidewalk. I can't tell you the amount of kitchen accidents and burns that I had on my hands. I had to get mesh metal gloves because I kept cutting myself when I was zesting and using a grater. I broke so many dishes, I had to purchase a new set. Once I knocked an entire stack of bowls out of the cupboard in one shot. It was actually quite impressive. My hand eye coordination was terrible. Gym time was a mess. I dropped weight, I pinched my fingers in machines, and I was incredibly reactive, defensive, always. Anytime that someone had a question, I just automatically assumed the worst. I would go from 0 to 60 instantly without any thought about context. I was younger, so that's part of being young, but you know that cortisol feeling in your stomach when something gets you going and you can feel it swirling around as you get amped up? That happened to me multiple times a day. I was anxious all the time. I had post it notes by my bed, and sometimes I would wake up with half a stack of notes reminding me to brush my teeth and close the front door. It was ridiculous. Caffeine, sugar, fiend. No impulse control at all when it came to food or caffeine. If it was in front of me, I was going in my belly. I ate constantly. I was always hungry, always low blood sugar, needed snacks to keep me going. I could also be really snappy and irritated with basically everyone and everything all the time. It was not a great point in my life. I worked on a lot of the things like blood sugar, stress, movement, creating connections, but sleep was one of the last things I was able to address because I didn't understand how it really worked. And I didn't understand how much of the rest of my life was affected by sleep. And I truly, truly had no clue how to fix it. I didn't know all of the things were results of lack of sleep. Sleep deprivation is actually a form of torture. As in, it's prohibited by the Geneva Convention. That's how serious sleep deprivation is. And many of us are basically torturing ourselves. I'm going to ask you something that I would have rolled my eyes at a decade ago and called myself a few choice four-letter words. Can you wake up without an alarm? I'm not talking about sleeping in on the weekend when you're trying to catch up, which we will go over is not something that you can do ever. Like you can't catch up on sleep. But what I'm talking about is on Tuesday morning, you have to go to work, you have to get your kids ready, etc. If you didn't have an alarm, would you be able to wake up close to when you need to get up in order to get ready? If you're currently flipping me the bird, know that I love you and am asking from a place of care, not malice. I just told you I used to be a sleep deprived monster. I couldn't even walk like a coordinated adult human with two working legs. I'm asking so you can think about how much sleep you're getting and if it's actually affecting your life. I didn't understand what that question meant years ago, so I said no. Clearly, I was very wrong. But I'm also a little thankful because I think if I had gone down the road of sleep medications, it would have been an even worse journey for me. Okay, so why is not getting enough sleep so problematic? First, I'm going to tie this into my favorite perimenopause topic, blood sugar. One night of 4 hours of sleep decreases your insulin sensitivity, your ability to manage your blood sugar, by 25%. That's a really big deal. 3 to 4 nights of getting only 4 hours of sleep can put you in a temporary diabetic state. This feels like blood sugar crashes all day long, fatigue, low energy, cravings, wanting a nap, not being able to say no to another cup of coffee or a donut. Does this shed some new light on the loving terms baby weight and dad bod? Right after you have a baby, you probably spend months sleep deprived. Some people are going to do this for years. Now you're in perimenopause and sleep is becoming more elusive as the anxiety and the stress and the to-do list just keep growing. That stubborn weight gain, your body not responding to the food and the movement like it used to, this is part of the reason for many women. So let's talk about memory. When you sleep, your brain is turning the things that happen during the day into memories. The things that are important get filed away and stored, and the things that aren't don't. So when you aren't sleeping, your brain is not able to accomplish this task, so you forget. You get brain fog. Your filing system is a hot mess, so your recall, not happening. You also can't pay attention. Think about all of the teenagers now and the women in perimenopause who are ADHD. Are they ADHD because they actually have ADHD, or are they supremely sleep deprived? I don't know the answer, but it's an interesting question. Both populations are notoriously sleep deprived. Let's talk about your hormone health. So, lack of sleep worsens hot flashes and night sweats. That's because estrogen, progesterone, and melatonin all play a role in regulating sleep, and low levels of all three are correlated with more frequent sleep disturbances. Sleep disturbances in one of the SWAN cohort studies were reported by 66% of perimenopausal women being clinically significant, meaning it was affecting their life in a meaningful way. This means anxious, tired, cranky, irritable, grumpy humans. Mood is a really big piece of sleep. No one wakes up exhausted from 4 hours of sleep in a winning mood, ready to take on the day with resilience and a smile. So, medications. Timing matters for some medications. An example of this is Wellbutrin. This is a stimulating medication, and I have had women come in taking it in the evening. No good. If you take it at night and you sleep like a rock, ignore me. But if you are taking it at night and you are not sleeping well, consider it a morning medication for you. B vitamins, also very stimulating. They should be taken at breakfast. If you're eating food late at night, meaning 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, then you are disrupting your sleep. It is really hard to digest food and sleep at the same time. It's extremely inefficient. Dr. Sachin Panda from the Salk Institute talks about the circadian rhythm of our organs, and your digestive system is not meant to be working late at night. We've all met those people who can have an espresso at dinner and then they say they go right to sleep. I never know if I should be incredibly jealous of them or if I should have tons of compassion because they are so sleep deprived that their body just overrides an espresso at 9 p.m. Most people cannot metabolize caffeine that fast. So, having that much circulating in your body can truly disrupt sleep. You can still feel tired with all of that caffeine, but your brain may be firing on all cylinders while you're trying to go to sleep, which does not create an environment for deep, restful sleep. Exercise. I want you to do it and to move your body because it's so important for sleep, mood, hormone regulation, overall health, happiness, even. You name it. Movement is the thing for all of those. It is the best longevity drug that we have available. But if you're exercising really close to bedtime, this can negatively affect your sleep. Some people can do it and pass right out, no problem. Others are really stimulated by exercise and they do a HIIT workout or resistance training 3 hours before bed and it just keeps them up. If you have a partner, if you have pets or kids in your bed, they are affecting your sleep. This may not be something that you want to change or do anything about, but it is worth mentioning that breathing, snoring, flopping around like a fish, kneading your pillow, kicking your shins, flailing limbs, all of this can affect your sleep. Humans wake up on average 10 times a night, but it's the wake ups that you remember that are concerning. So most of the time, you roll over once you realize that there isn't a bear in your room. But if you're waking up all night long because feet or paws or hands are smashing your face, you really need to rethink your sleeping situation. Okay, this one seems obvious, but some people just don't think about it. Are you sleeping in a cool, dark, quiet room? No. Is there a TV on? A nightlight? A giant blue clock that's shining in your face all night long? Street noise? A steam radiator that is just making you sweat at 2 a.m.? These are a base level check in. These things matter for sleep. Your body temperature needs to drop in order for you to go into sleep. If you are sweltering, it's going to be hard to fall asleep. If there are little blue or green lights in your room, TV screens, phones, lights that keep flashing, these will disrupt your sleep. If there is noise, your body will notice. Okay, so now you know that what can affect your sleep, medications, food timing, etc., your environment, all of it. It's time to start Nancy Drewing your way into your specific situation. Let's figure out what is actually stealing your sleep. I want you to think like a detective. We're going to look for patterns and clues here. You don't need to investigate everything at once. I want you to pick one of these areas to focus on this week. Just one. We're going to be curious and observational, not another thing to add to our to-do list. So, clue number 1, timing. When are you doing things? This is about your daily schedule and when things are happening relative to your bedtime. Maybe spend a few days keeping a loose diary. Nothing fancy, just a few notes on your phone. Your detective questions. When is your last dose of caffeine? When are you eating your last meal or snack? Are you eating within 2 to 3 hours of bed? Does that snack have chocolate? Because chocolate has caffeine, my friend. When are you getting in your workout? Here's my story. I used to have lattes at 4 p.m. This was terrible for me. Now I don't have any caffeine past 11 a.m. I sometimes have a decaf coffee in the afternoon if I'm really dragging, or a green tea at lunch, which has a lot less caffeine than coffee. But my chocolate snack, I have that every day at lunch. Once you've tasted that well-rested experience, you will not be so willing to give it up. If you're eating really close to bed, most likely this is not because you're needing fuel or calories. If you were working all day and didn't have a chance to eat an evening meal, that's different. But most people are snacking. And if you aren't sleeping, that late night chocolate is something to consider. Okay, clue number 2. Substances. What are you putting in your body? This is about medications and supplements that might be secretly keeping you wired. Your detective work. Do a quick Google or hop on drugs.com to see if your medications have any stimulating side effects. Look into your supplements too. If you're taking them at dinner or bedtime, are they supposed to be morning supplements? Are you taking any stimulating medications at night? Here's an example. Wellbutrin is a stimulating medication, and I've had women coming in taking it in the evening. This is no good. If you take it at night and you sleep like a rock, ignore this. But if you're taking it at night and you're not sleeping well, consider moving it to the morning. Same thing with B vitamins. Also very stimulating, and they should be taken with breakfast. Clue number 3, environment. Where and how are you sleeping? Okay, this is about your actual sleep setup and what's happening around you. Your detective questions. Cool, dark, quiet. Which one of these is a problem? Are you waking up hot? You might need some cooling sheets, less night clothes, or an open window or a fan on. Are lights sneaking in? Do you need blackout curtains or shades? A night mask is an excellent way to keep the light out without having to overhaul everything in your room, and very useful to take with you when traveling. Does your phone make noise and vibrate during the night? Are the notifications waking you up? Do you give yourself enough sleep opportunity? Meaning, have you blocked out a full 8 hours where you can be in bed? It's not possible to get 8 hours of sleep if you only have a 6-hour sleep opportunity window. If you're having a hard time falling asleep or are waking up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep, pay attention to why. Is your mind racing? Are you worrying? Are you hot? Is there pain? Are you uncomfortable? These clues matter. Now pick one area to investigate this week. That's it. If caffeine timing jumps out to you, start there. If you suspect your medication timing might be the issue, then let's focus on that. If your room is basically a sauna with strobe lights, let's fix the environment. You're looking for your sleep thief, not solving every possible sleep problem that exists. Okay, whether you're doing some detective work or not, here's what I want you to start building this week to set yourself up for better sleep. Your brain is an insane predictive machine. It's so good at this because brain power is expensive. Your brain uses 25% of your energy and it's only 2% of your body weight. So it takes a lot of shortcuts, and you have the ability to teach your brain which shortcuts to take. So, first thing that you can do is create a nighttime wind down bedtime routine. This lets your brain save some energy because you're telling it exactly what to expect. You want to create a set of events, build a habit that is repeatable every night. Bonus points if you can do this while you're traveling because that will really help with jet lag. Okay, so we want to include more senses when possible because that is really helpful for your brain. For example, incorporating sound or scent can make the routine cue even stronger for your brain. Scent is especially powerful when it comes to triggering memories. Now, it's not the length of time that matters here, it's the repeatable part of the routine. So, good practice in general for sleep. No bright lights and phones about 30 minutes before bed. Do something relaxing, not stimulating, leading up to your bedtime wind down routine. So, reading is a great activity, especially with a paper book. Probably nothing that's going to get your heart racing or make your brain turn on. So, don't look at work things that you have to think about when you're reading. You can also listen to music, do some yoga, take a bath or a hot shower, whatever is going to help you wind down. You don't need a 30-minute bedtime routine, but let's set a 30-minute timer as our reminder to when it's time to start making your way upstairs or wherever your bedroom is. An actual phone timer can be really helpful here if you tend to lose track of time or have an endless to-do list that you're always trying to tackle before bed. So finish whatever you're doing, head to your bedroom, and then start the bedtime routine. So the important thing here is that you do something that is in the same order every single night so it becomes a trigger for your brain. It thinks, oh, we're doing the bedtime routine thing. I predict sleep will happen next. So you can do whatever you need in whatever order you want, but an example might be putting on your night clothes, washing your face, brushing your teeth, turning down your bed, spraying a lavender scent on your pillow, putting your phone on the charger away from your bed, kissing your pets goodnight and shutting them out of the room, climbing into bed, kissing your partner goodnight, turning on your sound machine, putting on your eye mask, and turning off the lights. There are so many creative variations of a nighttime routine, but the key here is the same set of activities, same order, every single night so your brain can make the sleep shortcut. This is a set of activities that makes sleep come next. Even if all you can manage is to dim the lights, brush your teeth, and then turn out the lights, that's still a routine. Start with 3 steps and build from there if you need to. The next thing you would do is think about creating a location association. That's a fancy way of saying that the only things that you do in bed are sleep and sex. If you're watching Netflix in bed, if you're talking on the phone in bed, if you're working from bed, you're reading from bed, you're on your phone in bed, your brain has no idea what you're going to be doing the next time that you're in bed because there are so many possible options. If you only sleep or have sex in bed, your brain is probably not going to confuse those 2 activities. Okay, so let's say as much as you would like to keep your bed for sleep and sex only, it's just not possible. Your roommate is a gargoyle and you can't hang out in the living room. Perhaps you travel a lot and your company won't spring for a suite. Or perhaps you live in a New York studio and literally don't have anywhere else to sit. Then we alter the location situation. So you sit on the bed, but the bed is fully made. Your pillows are propped up on the opposite side that you sleep on. You never lay down when you're not sleeping. You keep the curtains open, lights on, and you do not keep your bedtime sound machine on. You basically want to make the bed as not sleep-like as possible to try to use the location association for sleep. You can also enhance the sleep location association by setting the mood, if you will. Turn on a salt lamp or some low red lighting. Close the curtains, turn on the sound machine, turn down the covers and put your lavender spray in the pillow, turn down the temperature and put your phone outside of the bedroom to charge and remove all screens and devices. Yes, there are actually alarm clocks that you can purchase that are not your phone. It is entirely possible to have a phoneless bedroom. They often have backup batteries, so if the power goes out, your alarm will still work. So this week, pick one detective clue to investigate and choose one action to build. Either start a consistent bedtime routine or clean up your sleep location association. Don't try to fix everything at once. We're building foundations here. Next week, we're going into all the stuff that requires a little bit more. So supplements that actually can help, breathwork techniques, relaxation techniques, and how to know what you're dealing with is a lifestyle-based sleep issue or a stress and cortisol that are hijacking your sleep. Because here's the thing, a lot of what looks like insomnia and perimenopause is actually your stress response running the show, and that requires a different approach. Until then, coffee in hand, I'll see you next Wednesday.
Can you do me a favor? If this was helpful, share it with one person who might need to hear it today. Our bodies didn't come with a user manual, and this perimenopause thing can feel confusing and lonely. But you're not alone, you're not crazy, and you're definitely not broken. And maybe someone in your life needs that reminder too. Let's spread the word and be kind to each other and ourselves. Now the legal bit. I'm a nutritionist, but I'm not your nutritionist. This podcast is for information and education only. No client relationship was formed. Always seek medical advice when necessary. I'll see you next Wednesday morning.